Charles, you've really brought in some unique plants here, and I know plants are such an important and integral part of health, be it for the forest, but also for us. So, tell us about these.
Sure. Well, I think it's wonderful. We have in Virginia over 2,400 native plants.
Oh, wow.
And you've got a native plant for every occasion, essentially.
Yes.
So these are in the mint family. And I think the key to kind of emphasize is that you've got great variety. You've got this bristly hedge nettle that is unique and it can get big and fill in a space. The humble wild basil, which is just a simple plant, but can bring in a lot of insects to it. And then this one is one of your champions of late summer. It's one of your mountain mints, Pycnanthemum.
Oh, yes.
And they're incredible for bringing, and they bloom for about 2 months.
They're like pollinator magnets.
Yeah, so really getting to know your mints is an opportunity not only to improve your health for your gardening, but also to bring that wildlife in, which greatly improves your own experience.
Yes,
And
yes.
then, of course, we've got one of our biggest families, which are the composites. And
Which are the daisy type plants. Is the best
Exactly.
way to describe them.
Yeah, disc flowers usually, and ray flowers. And you've got asters, which can grow in many situations. This one can grow in drier soils and woodlands. You've got ones that will grow on outcrop slopes like this. This one is a rattlesnake plantain or
Right.
rattlesnake weed. And then other asters from the woodlands.
Right.
This one I think is particularly interesting. This is blue-stemmed aster, goldenrod. And it grows in the woodlands and is tough as nails.
I've grown that in my garden and I've given it too much sun.
Yes.
And I've got to, I tried it again and I put it into more shade and it's done great with good success. And I think everybody needs to realize a lot of these aren't full sun plants, that they're my dappled shade, part shade, so that shade gardeners going, yay, they're giving me plants I can grow.
Absolutely. And almost everything on this particular table right now is shade tolerant and actually prefer shade.
And the other thing is people think asters, they think fall.
Yeah, but we also have those big showy ones like
Yes.
the black-eyed Susans,
Here's a beautiful composite.
and
Yes.
everybody enjoys a black-eyed Susan. So they're just a wonderful species. Of course, the yellow here, and there's a number of these particular ones, the Rudbeckias. They're really incredible plants. And then we have, along with it, of course, we have one of our rose family members, a blackberry.
Yes.
And of course, wonderful food and flower. And of course, we have along with it kind of the humble strawberry.
Yes.
So our Fragaria, which is the same species that all the commercial strawberries are grown from, but this one I pulled out of the edge of my wood line, I stuck it in the garden, and it exploded. There's hundreds of them now.
Yes, and the berries are a little bit more seeded, but they're still tasty.
Oh, they're very much so.
Very, very tasty.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm a person walking through the woods growing up, blackberries and raspberries were our lunch sometimes because we didn't want to go home.
Yes.
And just
been
to
there too.
sustain us,
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you've got this purple leaf giant
Yes.
here.
So the species is our native redbud, Cercis canadensis, but unfortunately this is a cultivar that has a leaf color change,
Yes.
which means that native insects can't eat it. So it's problematic from a wildlife perspective.
They get confused.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got all these cultivars that are out into our nurseries and, trying to take our native plants and, change them slightly to make them a little more ornamental, trying to appeal them to the masses.
Yeah.
And they're finding through research that actually changing the color of the leaf confuses our native pollinators.
Yes.
So this is a perfect example where, you're trying to do a good deed, but it doesn't hit the mark all the way.
Right. So ecologically, for wildlife, it's not good to have that, but also that means it could be diminished benefit for humans, just because you're not going to have those species coming into your yard as a
Yes.
result of that.
Yes.
And some of the other species we brought in here include, in this case, I wanted to talk a little bit about good old oaks. Our oaks are so important. They're the backbone of most eastern forests. The insects eat those leaves. They're critical for a central part of raising bird young,
Yes.
for caterpillars. But these two in particular were actually planted by blue jays. So
Oh,
they're
really?
number one disperser of oak trees are blue jays.
Really?
Yeah, small seeded. And then this other is actually quite interesting. These are a
Yes.
native persimmon. And these were actually, I harvested the seeds out of coyote scat.
Oh, fun.
And coyotes are a disperser of persimmons. And it blessed me in my side yard with giving me some scat. And as a result, I've got my own persimmons, which I'll grow and eat later on.
Well, I was going to say, he's got very good taste for those persimmons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we don't think about, how seeds are dispersed, and we need to recognize that it's not just the wind blowing things
Yes.
around. and
Got
that are-
scarification.
Yes, scarification in
Yes.
addition to stratification.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about 2 woody plants. We've got just
Yeah.
a minute left.
Okay. So Cornus amomum, so we're familiar with our flowering dogwood. And the flowering dogwood has another Cornus species. This is found throughout most of Virginia. This is silky dogwood.
Yes.
And its flower is white, although they're very small. There's a whole bunch of them in a disc. And it's a wonderful plant. It prefers wet areas, but it can also grow in drier soils. It can grow in almost full shade, but also grow in full sun.
Yes.
Extremely versatile and tough. And it's caney.
Yes.
You can cut it and it'll actually do fine.
This is a workhouse of the garden.
It is. And then right next to it are 2 others in this one pot. We've got 2 of our native viburnums. Dentatum, which is southern arrowwood, so dentate leaves like teeth. And then the other is maple leaf viburnum. And I do
my
want to
favorite.
emphasize that we have a tremendous number of non-native species that can be problematic. There are a lot of invasive ornamental viburnums.
Yes.
So I really encourage folks these are wonderful natives that can fill your garden space, give you great benefit, and provide great wildlife benefit.
Yeah. Well, I think, Charles, that you've shown us some really good diversity here and plants that we're really not familiar with. And I thank you so much for coming in and sharing them with us.
Absolutely.